right there.
Go. Get out of here. Hi there, my name is Christine and I've been living on the road in my Subaru Forester for the summer of 2020. I actually moved out of the house I'd been living in kind of Memorial weekend and spent a little bit of time in Utah, but primarily have been living on the road all summer. It's Labor Day weekend and I have spent over the past month living out of my Subaru Forester on the road in Utah, Colorado, Idaho, and Washington. Some nights I have spent sleeping in my car, while other nights I have spent setting up camp at various campsites throughout the areas and just setting those as my base camp. There have been some nights where I've stayed in motels, and that's just to kind of get me an opportunity to shower and recharge my devices, something I've talked about in a previous video. But for the most part, I've been out here in places like this. I try to find free camping as often as possible, and I've been pretty successful with that. I've only paid for campsites a couple of nights total, and free camping is working out pretty well for me. I've discussed this before, but I really didn't think I would be spending as much time sleeping in my tent as I have. Often find that setting up my tent gives me a place to live out of and is a pretty comfortable place to sleep. I also do really get good sleep in my Forester, so sometimes I'll opt to go ahead and sleep in the car, and it's just kind of whatever I'm feeling and however long I think I'm going to be at a place. After being on the road for about a month, I'm finally feeling like I'm falling into a little bit of a rhythm. I'm kind of noticing patterns of what I need, when I need it, and sort of recently I've been noticing that I'm interested in staying in places longer. That's definitely something that I had going while I was in Colorado. I really did like staying at a campsite for a few nights consecutive, kind of getting into a pattern of rhythm there and just being able to take care of myself in a healthy way by building somewhat of a routine. When I'm just changing locations all the time, starting the day not knowing where I'm going to be sleeping that night, it's just it's fun and adventurous, but it's a little bit stressful too. So if I know that I already have a place locked in and I can explore during the day or just kind of work, or even there's been a couple of days where I've just relaxed, like that's really nice too, and I know that I need to build that into my schedule. One thing that I haven't done as much of that I thought I would do more of is actually cooking. I've done a pretty awful job of taking care of my health in the way of eating healthy food. I'm doing a good job of getting exercise by hiking and backpacking, but I'm not doing a good job of taking care of myself with my nutrition. And so as I move into my next month of being on the road, that's something that I'm really wanting to commit myself to more. And I think that being a little bit more stationary is going to help me with that. I'm not happy that I've fallen into some pretty bad food habits, but I think it's pretty understandable considering that's kind of a normal thing to happen when people travel, and that's what I've been doing. I'm trying to get used to a whole new lifestyle. I'm traveling a ton. One thing with like kind of falling into the rhythm now is what I was doing is I was like buying food, and then sometimes I was in town where in smaller mountain towns where ice wasn't available, where food selection was very limited, and then I would like buy food and say I'd buy food for like 4 days or something, and then I would be like 2 days later I would go on a backpacking trip and I'd come back and my cooler was the warm. So kind of being able to make more advanced plans and just knowing how life goes out here, I think will help with that. Another thing that I've run into that I hadn't really anticipated was how much sleep can be valued. I am finding recently that I am getting better sleep than I was initially. I have had my fair share of pretty sleepless nights due to animals, critters primarily. Sometimes I find that sleeping in my tent at certain campsites, it's just constant. Like, I feel like there's a barrage of critters coming at me constantly, and that causes for some pretty sleepless nights. It can be pretty horrendous, actually. So yeah, that's kind of a hit or miss. I don't really know if there's anything I can do to anticipate that, but I've had some pretty good luck with it recently, so hopefully it stays that way. Something I'm learning and getting better at is finding campsites. I often use, it's an app that I have on my phone, but they also have a website called compendium.com, and I've found that is a great resource. Also, just looking at national park maps or national park websites, and they'll give oftentimes a list of dispersed camping options. So that's how I found the spot that I'm at right now, was through a national forest, national forests, and this is an actual campground with 7 actual campsites, and it's completely free to stay here. I have no cell reception for 7 miles, but that's okay. I have to drive 4 miles up a really rough road, but that's just fine. There's actually a vault toilet here. I have a fire ring and a wonderful picnic table. So what more could I ask for in life? It's so cool that places like this exist, and I think for this particular location you can stay up to 14 days here, and it's just totally free. So I'm not going to be here that long, but I am enjoying the time that I'm here. I have noticed, though, that it's really important for me to make a good decisions about logistics of when I move from one location to the next. Oh, excuse me. Pardon. Oh, is that a Stellar Jay? So for example, right now it's a holiday weekend, and on the Friday leading into the weekend, this place got maxed out. I was already here. I had moved here on the Wednesday because I noticed that sometimes even Thursday evenings, places really start to book up. So I knew I wanted to be close to the national park. So I came in on Wednesday, and it's Sunday now, and it's just so full around here. So just anticipating that the weekends will be heavy in traffic and making sure that I secure campsites prior to those kind of high volume days is something that I'm kind of like learning to work into the plan and the process, and it's becoming more intentional versus when I first started doing it. I was like, I don't even know. I have no idea what I'm doing, where I'm going. I had ideas of places that I could potentially end up, but I just didn't understand like the rhythm of it. So I'm getting a bit more of that down now. It's all going well. Now I want to discuss future plans. Right now, my future plans are to sort of continue doing what I'm doing. I plan to be on the road at least through October, and am starting to mentally put together plans for some of the colder months starting into November. And I think I think I'm pretty confident that I'll be on the road through November as well. So that means great news for you because I'll be able to continue to make travel content. And I'm pretty excited too. Right now, YouTube is my income. By income, I mean, yeah, scary. I do make a small income off of YouTube videos, and that's what I plan to continue to do. Winter will get interesting, so there may be some downtime spent back at the property in Utah, or maybe friends and family in Southern California. But for as long as I can, I'd like to stay out on the road, exploring, having adventures, and making content. Well, hopefully I'll be able to sustain that for a bit longer, and hopefully my audience will continue to grow in order to help me do that. So I want to take this time to say thank you very much to all of you that are loyal followers and watchers and commenters. I really, really appreciate it. And